Chapter 1, System Binding and the Breakfast Stand Plan. In front of the breakfast stand at the entrance of Cheyenne High School, cooking fumes swirled in the early morning breeze. I flipped my wrist nimbly, the pancake spatula tracing smooth arcs on the iron griddle as the batter quickly turned into a golden, crispy thin pancake. 2 extra eggs, more bell pepper flakes. As soon as the customer's voice faded, I skillfully cracked open the eggs. The yolk, mixed with chopped green onions, sizzled on the griddle, and the aroma wafted far away in an instant. Ding! System binding successful. Host Leah, you are the supporting female character in this world. Main quest, win over male lead Elias. Successful completion rewards you with $50,000. A mechanical voice suddenly echoed in my mind. My hand trembled, and I almost dropped the pancake spatula. The sizzling oil spattered onto the back of my hand, but I barely registered the sting as my head snapped up, scanning my surroundings. No one was there. Could it be that waking up so early these days was finally making me hallucinate? Host, do not doubt. I am your exclusive strategy system. Please stop selling pancakes immediately and go to school to win over the male lead. Do not waste time. The system's voice carried an undeniable urgency, and it even pulled up a photo. The boy wore a clean white shirt, with sharp yet gentle features and a faint smile playing at his lips. It was none other than Elias, the most popular guy in our school. $50,000? My eyes lit up instantly. Over the past few years, to pay for my mom's medical treatment, I'd woken up before dawn every day to run the breakfast stand. On weekends, I even took 2 part-time jobs, one at the ranch and another at a restaurant. Not to mention /50,000, even /5000 would have taken a huge weight off my shoulders. I quickly took off my apron, which was stained with oil spots, stuffed it into a bamboo basket, and said, "Why didn't you say so earlier? Win over the male lead? Easy, I'll go chat him up right now." The system probably hadn't expected me to be so eager. It paused for 2 seconds before speaking again. Strategy Step 1, increase your presence. It is recommended that you bring breakfast to the male lead every day to build initial goodwill. I patted my chest confidently. Bring breakfast? No problem. I'm best at making food. With that, I ran toward the school cafeteria. Passing the canteen, I even detoured to buy 2 packs of whole wheat bread. Bringing pancakes was definitely out of the question. They were too greasy and wouldn't fit the gentle supporting female persona. But when I reached the cafeteria and looked at the exquisite breakfasts in the display case, I hesitated. The system pulled up photos of breakfasts other girls had given Elias: blueberry muffins shaped like little rabbits, homemade chocolates wrapped in tinfoil, and smoked salmon brunch arranged in a heart shape. Every single one looked like a work of art. Comparing them to the dry bread in my hand, which didn't even come with a packet of jam, I felt a twinge of self-doubt. Host, this does not meet the male lead's aesthetic, the system said, its voice laced with disdain. It is recommended that you make Western-style breakfast, such as sandwiches. It dawned on me, right. Sandwiches are also Western food. I'll make those right away. When I got home, I dug out the new pan my mom had bought, then followed a sandwich tutorial on my phone. The tutorial made it look simple: 1 slice of bread, 1 slice of lettuce, 1 slice of ham, 1 slice of tomato, then cover with another slice of bread. Is that enough to fill someone up? I frowned at the screen. The breakfasts of rich people were really skimpy. I turned around, opened the fridge, and hauled out all the ingredients I used for pancakes: golden fried turkey breast, sizzling bacon, and my favorite beef sausages. Finally, I stuffed in a packet of Mexican chili flakes. No one could resist this combination. It smelled so good that even passers-by would turn around to ask what it was. The finished sandwich was bulging. I carefully placed it into a paper bag printed with Leah's breakfast stand, then slipped it into another plastic bag to make it look decent. Host, This is hard to evaluate, the system said after a long silence. Hard to evaluate? It's definitely delicious. I walked to school with full confidence. Taking advantage of the gap before morning self-study, I sneaked into Elias's classroom. The room was empty, so I tucked the sandwich into his desk compartment. Just as I was about to leave, I thought better of it. What if he thought someone else had given it to him? An idea struck me. I pulled out my student ID from my pocket, deliberately dropped it on the floor, and ran away without even glancing back. This way, when he found the ID, he'd know it was from me. That evening, I sneaked into the classroom again. The sandwich in the desk compartment was gone, only the neatly folded paper bag remained. Looks like he loved it. He even kept the wrapper. I felt overjoyed and decided to add more ingredients the next day, extra pieces of fried chicken, plus a bottle of organic yogurt I secretly fished out from the bottom of the milk crate my mom had prepared for gift giving. Over the next week, I slipped a sandwich and a yogurt into Elias's desk compartment every day. The stack of paper bags in his desk grew taller, and the yogurt bottles were even washed and stored neatly together. This must be a collection. I could barely contain my excitement. In the West, there's Cinderella's glass slipper. Here, there's Leah's breakfast stand signature sandwich. Chapter 2, The Mistake of Delivering Breakfast to the Wrong Person. On the 8th morning, I deliberately delivered the breakfast a little later, hoping someone in the classroom would see me and help spread the word about me. Sure enough, there was someone in the room, a boy wearing an oversized school uniform, bending over to clean. He was thin, with a black baseball cap pulled low over his head, so low that only a pale jawline was visible. That's not the male lead. The male lead isn't this tall, I muttered to myself, but didn't think much of it. As long as someone saw me, they'd definitely tell Elias that a kind, pretty girl was bringing him breakfast. I deliberately put on a shy act and tucked the sandwich into Elias's desk compartment right in front of the boy. Then I accidentally dropped my student ID on the floor and turned to run. But before I could take 2 steps, someone suddenly grabbed my wrist. The scorching warmth from their palm made me stop in my tracks. "Classmate, you dropped your ID," the boy said softly, his voice like a feather brushing against my heart. I turned around and caught a glimpse of his face under the brim of the cap. His skin was pale, almost sickly, and his bangs were so long they covered his eyes, revealing only a sliver of dark pupils. He looked gloomy and odd. He seemed to realize he'd grabbed me too tightly. He let go as if shocked by an electric current, then lowered his eyes to avoid my gaze. I cursed myself for being stupid under my breath, but still forced a smile and took the ID. "Thank you." The boy froze for a moment before whispering, "Why, you're welcome." He bowed his head, and the hand hanging by his side clenched and unclenched, as if he wanted to say something. But by the time he looked up, I'd already run far away. Back in my classroom, I was just about to take out my textbook for morning reading when a line of text suddenly floated in front of my eyes. "You idiot supporting female. You've been delivering breakfast for days and didn't even notice you got the desk wrong? That's the villain's desk." I rubbed my eyes, thinking I was seeing things. But the next second, more text flooded in, like real-time comments on a streaming platform. Laughing out loud. The supporting female didn't realize for a whole week. That's Samuel's desk. Haven't you noticed? Ever since the supporting female started bringing breakfast, Samuel has even put on a little weight. He used to be as skinny as a stick, and since his family is poor, he only ate 1 corn tortilla a day. Exactly. The supporting female stuffs everything into those sandwiches. One is enough to last him a whole day. Poor villain. He probably thought the supporting female liked him, but it turns out she just got the desk wrong. My feet froze mid-step as I was about to walk out of the classroom. I looked up subconsciously, and at the end of the corridor not far away, the gloomy boy was hugging the breakfast stand's paper bags and yogurt bottles, his eyes shining as he looked at me, like a puppy waiting for its owner's praise. Haha. The villain must be daydreaming about the school dance already. Samuel has the gloomy, obsessive personality type. Once he sets his mind on someone, he'll cling to them forever. The supporting female is doomed. I heard from the system earlier that the villain gets into trouble later and ends up in a tragic situation. If the supporting female gets tangled up with him, she'll even lose her life. He's so smart, he got second place in the whole school last time. He could have gotten into an Ivy League school. Reading the comments made me tremble with fear. I'd messed up big time. Not only had I failed to win over the male lead, but I'd also gotten involved with the villain. I quickly turned around and hid back in the classroom. Luckily, the bell for morning self-study rang, and more people started filling the room, so I finally let out a sigh of relief. But during the next few classes, I couldn't sit still. I kept feeling like a pair of eyes was staring at me, making my back prickle like needles. When the bell finally rang for break, I'd been holding it in for 2 classes and hurried to the bathroom. On my way back, I couldn't help but glance at the back door of Samuel's classroom. That one glance made my heart stop. Samuel was standing by the trash can, staring blankly into it. Then, without hesitation, he reached out to fish something out. Poor villain. His sandwich was thrown into the trash. Those guys hate him, so they deliberately threw away the sandwich he'd hidden in his desk. He already can't afford to eat properly, he was counting on that one meal for the day. Spoiler, tonight, Samuel will block those guys in the alley, beat them up badly, get expelled, and start his life as a villain. He's so talented. He got second place in the school last time, he could have gone to Stanford. Reading the comments filled me with anger. Who cared about fates or whatever? He just wanted to eat his fill. I forgot all about my earlier plan to stay away from him, stormed into the classroom, and grabbed Samuel's arm just as he was about to reach into the trash can. I yelled at the boys who were watching and snickering, "What do you think you're doing?" The boys froze, probably not expecting anyone to stand up for Samuel. Samuel, who'd been pulled back, instinctively tried to shake me off. But when he turned around and saw it was me, he immediately lowered his head and followed me obediently, his tall, thin frame stumbling as I dragged him along, not a single word of complaint. The supporting female is so cool. The villain is completely smitten now. Look at the villain's eyes, they're practically sparkling. I dragged Samuel to the door of the homeroom teacher's office, then realized I'd been pulling him too hard. I quickly let go. "Sorry, I was in a hurry." "It's okay," he said, still staring at the ground. His right hand secretly brushed the wrist I just grabbed, and a faint smile tugged at the corner of his mouth, so quick that it seemed like an illusion. I cleared my throat, knocked on the homeroom teacher's door, and told her exactly what I'd seen. Finally, I put a hand to my chest and pretended to be still shaken. "Teacher, I just happened to pass by and saw them bullying Samuel. Who knows how much he's been bullied before? Samuel is so smart, he got second place in the whole school last time. He's a future Ivy League student." The homeroom teacher had originally brushed off this little squabble as trivial. But as soon as she heard Ivy League and scholarship, she sat up straight, slammed her hand on the desk, and said, "I'll definitely investigate this thoroughly. We'll check the surveillance footage and talk to those students." After walking out of the office, we stood facing each other, and the air turned awkward. I coughed. If someone bullies you in the future, you need to tell the teacher. Don't hold it in, and definitely don't use fighting to solve things. It'll only hurt you and others, okay?" Samuel didn't speak. He just stared at me, his dark eyes hiding emotions I couldn't read. His gaze looked damp, like a wronged little animal. What's the villain thinking? Does he want to ask the supporting female to go to the ranch with him? The supporting female is doomed, she'll never get rid of him now. I looked up subconsciously and met his eyes. His gaze slowly drifted downward, landing on my lips and staying there. I was so scared my heart almost stopped beating. I stepped back quickly. I haven't finished my homework yet. I have to go. When I ran back to my classroom, I slapped myself lightly. Leah. This is the last time you help him. From now on, you have to keep your distance. But then I thought, Samuel only ate one corn tortilla a day, he must be malnourished. If I stopped bringing him breakfast, would he starve? Maybe. I can bring less each day, gradually reduce it until he gets used to it. After struggling for a long time, I still decided to keep bringing him breakfast. After all, the college entrance exam was soon. Once the exam was over, we'd go our separate ways, and we'd never cross paths again. I also asked the system about the female lead and supporting female thing. The system said the substitute operator it had hired earlier had made a mistake. I was indeed the supporting female, but I was also Elias's first love from his teenage years. If I won Elias over, dated him, then broke up with him cruelly to make him heartbroken, the female lead would then comfort him and save him. Once this plotline was completed, I'd get the $50,000 reward. Money to earn, plus a handsome guy to date, why not? I immediately figured it out and decided to speed up my plan to win over Elias. Chapter 3, Wild Roses and Unpaid Pancakes. The next day, to avoid running into Samuel, I got up extra early and arrived at school at 5 a.m. But as soon as I walked into Elias's classroom, I froze. Samuel was sitting by the window, not wearing his cap, and writing something with his head down. The oversized school uniform outlined his thin shoulder blades, and his long fingers held a pen, scratching softly against the paper. He seemed to sense my presence. He quickly picked up his cap and put it on, then looked up at me, his eyes shining like a puppy that had finally waited for its owner. My body stiffened for a moment, and I cursed under my breath. Why is it him again? When Samuel saw the 2 sandwiches in my hand, the light in his eyes dimmed instantly. I gritted my teeth, forced myself to walk over, and handed him one of the sandwiches. Eat it quickly, it won't taste good when it gets cold. Then I turned around, walked quickly to Elias's desk compartment, and stuffed the other sandwich inside. But just as I was about to turn around and leave, someone grabbed my wrist again. Samuel frowned, looking confused. Why are you giving it to him? This is Elias's desk, of course I'm giving it to him. I forced a laugh. I made an extra one today, so I'm giving it to a lucky classmate at random. As soon as I said it, I realized it sounded wrong. I quickly corrected myself. Elias asked me to bring it for him. He paid me. Samuel frowned, as if carefully thinking it over. I quickly changed the subject. By the way, did your homeroom teacher tell you the result of the investigation? Did those boys apologize to you? Yes, they apologized. They even picked up the sandwich and washed it, he said. When he mentioned this, his eyes lit up. Thank you. You're welcome, it's the right thing to do, I said, eager to leave. But suddenly, he pulled a wild rose out of his school bag, a red one, still dotted with morning dew, looking fresh and vibrant. This is for you, he held out the rose, his gaze intense and unashamed. Thank you for helping me. The villain spent the whole morning looking for this rose in the wild field next to the ranch. He originally wanted to buy one, but he didn't have extra money. So he went to pick the brightest one in the wild, and even got stung by a bee on his hand. Looking at the rose, my heart felt like it was being scratched by a kitten's paw, soft and warm. I hesitated for a moment, then took it. Thank you. It's beautiful. A smile instantly spread across Samuel's face, and the joy in his eyes was impossible to hide. During the break, someone shouted from the back door, Leah, someone's looking for you. I walked out and saw Samuel standing at the door, holding a plastic bag. What's wrong? I asked, confused. He unzipped his school uniform, put the plastic bag into my hand, and said with obvious pride in his voice, I asked Elias. He didn't pay you. Here's your pancake back, it's still warm, I kept it in my coat. I froze for a moment, then realized, he'd actually gone to ask Elias. Why did you ask him that? If he didn't pay, he can't take your things, Samuel said matter-of-factly. He even told me to touch the plastic bag, see? It's still warm, right? I kept it close all morning. Looking at his proud expression, I was equal parts angry and amused. I ground my teeth and said, thank you so much, classmate Samuel. You did a great job. Samuel, who'd just been praised, looked even more proud. If he had a tail, it would have been sticking straight up in the air. No problem. Next time, you must ask for money first. Don't let others take your things for free, he reminded me seriously. I nodded perfunctorily and turned to run. If I stayed to chat any longer, I was afraid I'd lose my temper and hit him. Back in the classroom, I looked at the plastic bag in my hand. The pancake inside still carried the warmth of a human body. I sighed, looks like I need to find a new way to win over Elias. I can't keep bringing breakfast, otherwise, Samuel will definitely mess things up again. After thinking for a long time, I decided to write love letters. After all, the first love persona required a gentle, romantic approach. I dug out my prettiest stationery, poured all my literary skills into writing 10 love letters, and asked Elias's desk mate to secretly pass them to him. On the afternoon the 10th love letter was delivered, Elias's desk mate ran over to tell me, Elias asked you to wait for him under the maple tree behind the school after class. My heart filled with joy, I could almost see the $50,000 reward waving at me. After school, I specially changed into a white dress and arrived at the maple tree 10 minutes early. The setting sun stretched the maple tree's shadow long. I stood under the tree, my heart pounding. Just then, I heard footsteps behind me. I thought it was Elias, so I turned around quickly, only to see Samuel. He was wearing a black hoodie, with the hood pulled low over his head. He held a paper bag in his hand. He walked up to me and held out the bag. You're waiting for Elias? What's it to you? I snapped, not in the mood. He didn't get angry. He just stared down at the paper bag. There's a pancake inside. You haven't had dinner yet, right? Eat a little to fill your stomach first. Looking at the paper bag in his hand, my heart skipped a beat. How did he know I hadn't eaten dinner? But then I remembered I couldn't get tangled up with him anymore. I pushed the bag back. No, thanks. I'm not hungry. Samuel's hand froze in midair. After a long time, he whispered, I made it specially for you. I followed your recipe, added turkey breast and bacon, just like you do. I froze. Looking at his pale face, a strange feeling welled up in my chest. Just then, I heard footsteps in the distance. Elias was coming. When Samuel saw Elias, his eyes turned cold instantly. He stuffed the paper bag into my hand and turned to leave. I held the bag and watched his back, my mind in a mess. Leah, Elias walked up to me, holding the 10 love letters I'd written. A faint smile played at his lips. I've read all these letters. I quickly hid the paper bag behind my back, my voice nervous. Elias, I know what you mean, he interrupted me, his eyes gentle. Actually, I noticed you a long time ago. You're the one who's been bringing me breakfast every day, aren't you? My heart dropped. Why did he think I was the one bringing him breakfast? Hadn't Samuel told him? I was just about to explain when Elias spoke again. I agree to be with you. From now on, please take care of me. The setting sun made his smile look gentle, but I couldn't feel any joy at all. I looked at the paper bag in my hand, then thought of the look in Samuel's eyes earlier. It felt like something was blocking my chest. The supporting female is doomed. Caught between the male lead and the obsessive villain, who will she choose? The villain will never let go. Let's sit back and watch the drama. The male lead thinks the supporting female brought him breakfast. This misunderstanding is huge. I stood under the maple tree, looking at Elias's gentle face. Then I thought of Samuel's damp, puppy-like eyes. For the first time, I felt hesitant about the $50,000 reward. It seemed that, without realizing it, I'd accidentally sent my own heart to the wrong person too.